Can we enhance your experience with your doctors? Can we detect things faster?
Communication, personalization, processing a vast amount of data.
We're integrating genomic and tissue imaging modalities together. That's the frontier.
I think what's important is there are patients waiting.
Getting a new medicine approved is a huge milestone, one that takes time, research, testing, and a lot of patience to reach. But the work doesn't stop there. Once a new therapy is approved, how we engage with the healthcare community is critical to make sure it reaches the people who need it. My name is Kelsey Miklosh, Head of AI Solutions for Health and Life Sciences at Dataiku, and I'm exploring how artificial intelligence is changing how we identify disease and give the right patient the right care at the right time.
My name is Daniel Kinney. I work at Johnson & Johnson, where I'm Vice President of Global Data Science. When you think about the development of a pharmaceutical product, there are a number of choices or decisions that we need to make as we bring the compound coming out of the laboratory to market. Many of our medicines can treat multiple different diseases or indications. Where does it provide the greatest value to patients? Where are there the largest number of patients who are in need? Who are the healthcare practitioners who treat those patients? And what are the opportunities that our new medicine is going to provide for their treatment of patients?
When it comes to healthcare, hospital services are definitely looking at social determinants of health. And this is very important in a sense that you can be two zip codes side by side, one zip code having a certain diabetes rate, but the other having an extremely higher diabetes rate, even higher fatality rate. And what's the difference between those two zip codes? It could be means to transportation, it could be means to grocery store, it could be means to better education. All of these things do factor in a person's health and well-being. Can we bring all these data points together and personalize the solution for patients? And I think that's where the AI is going to come in.
Machine learning and AI can help us more effectively engage with the medical community as new medicines are approved. It also allows us to include more specific behaviors and patterns, both in patients and within communities, that could improve access to healthcare. But these models, if not built responsibly, also have the potential to spread deeper disparities and bias. So how do we protect against this and keep the trust in AI systems? How do we ensure we have the right data while also honoring the privacy and protections of patients?
In the past, with earlier statistical methods and analytics, it was a much more, I would say, aggregate view. And that aggregate view helps you optimize to an average, but not at a more granular level. With the granularity of data, with the digitization, we're able to apply techniques to kind of hone in on what the immediate needs are of a locality, of a particular physician office, of a particular segment of patients. These are the kinds of things AI machine learning are helping us pinpoint. But then the question becomes, if we've trained these models on data sources that are not necessarily fully representative of the population, is there a possibility that they will pick up the risk for some subpopulations and not for others?
A lot of the time we focus on biases on race and gender and age, but in this example that I'm going to give, the bias is not because of any of those variables. In this study developed by Rich Caruana, he's a researcher at Microsoft, they were looking at the risk of pneumonia patients. They developed this really highly predictive machine learning model. And when the clinicians were looking at the predictions of this model, they found out that it's consistently telling patients who have asthma has less risk. This is counterintuitive, right? They found out that those asthma patients actually received an intense care because of their pre-existing condition, and that variable is not in the data. So if we develop that model and use it in production, those people who have asthma will not get the care that they deserve. What could be done is really spending a lot of time creating high-quality data, removing bias as much as possible, and then developing more simpler models that clinicians can understand.
There is nothing more frustrating for a data scientist who want to work hands-on in solving problems with not having access to data. And that is obviously linked with the very sensitive nature of healthcare data.
Patients need to own their data. Right now, patients' data comes from pharmacy, from claims data, from insurance, from EHRs. They all are anonymized and they're used for different purposes, but not really for patients. So if patients were given a choice saying that I'm willing to share this data for my benefit, I think they would.
Fundamentally, the biggest shift that's happened in the market is that it's become both economically and technologically feasible to deal with huge amounts of data. We were talking about something like 1 billion slides created for diagnostic purposes every year, each of which have 1 billion pixels or gigabytes worth of data. And right now, call it roughly 100 to 150 million are digitized per year, new slides per year. So this is a tremendous opportunity for the world to leverage this new kind of data to understand disease, to develop drugs that are the right drugs for the right patients, and to accelerate diagnostic workflows as well. This is in our diagnostic workflow product. And one of the cool things that what they can do here that they can't do in a microscope is not just kind of zoom around and see the tissue, but we also have an understanding of what's going on in this patient's tumor before the pathologist even sits down at their desk and opens up the application. So you see there's kind of red where there's been high likelihood of cancer identified, or a green where there's a low likelihood of cancer identified. And you can imagine the ability to identify tumor very quickly and go to that slide has a pretty significant workflow benefit for the pathologist.
So the colors there, is that tagged by the pathologist as cancer?
This is tagged by AI before the pathologist ever sits down.
Nice.
Yep.
You can use AI now to detect, say, from a chest x-ray whether somebody has pneumonia, but you would still need a human in the loop to validate that is correct, the diagnosis is correct before it gets communicated back to the patient.
So pathologists are not going to go away. We still need them, of course, but they have now an amazing tool set at their fingertips. What we can do with some of the new GPUs from NVIDIA is actually take these large-scale compute challenges that used to be very difficult now. Take, for example, a complex multi-dimensional image of cancer that has thousands and thousands of layers, and do machine learning to tease out which kinds of cells are present by the tumor. And so what's exciting is you get exact delineation of which cells are present and where they are. So you can say, is it helping to fight the tumor? Is it being stuck? Is it not even getting to the tumor?
There are data science teams in every part of the Johnson & Johnson organization. In the commercial side of the organization, for example, from the earliest discovery of medicines to their development to the launch and commercialization of our assets. So literally everywhere, all along the product lifecycle, there are opportunities for AI and ML to drive real value for the organization.
One of the most interesting aspects of being part of an enterprise team is essentially when we look at all the different departments and we look at the applications they're working on, they seem very, very different at first. But when you take a look at the methodologies and you take a look at the ways in which information is being used, and when you reduce it to analytical problems, what that looks like, you start to see common patterns. And so one of the biggest benefits of working in an enterprise capacity is we get to create kind of efficient accelerators that everyone can use.
It's not just pharmaceutical organizations or medical professionals feeling the tangible benefit from working with AI. Patients around the world are now expecting more from their healthcare providers. And AI can be a useful tool in helping them feel informed, comfortable, and confident in their treatment and health decisions.
Patients are not only affected by the physical ailment, it also impacts their psychology. They need support in their, not so good time. And that support is more than medicine.
Say I'm prescribed to a particular medicine. It's late at night, my mind is running. I want to understand what are the implications, what are the side effects. How nice would it be if I could, just over my phone, engage with an intelligent avatar or chatbot that knew all of my information, so it was personalized for me, that knew all of the relevant medical information, and I could engage with it in a conversation that led me to a point of feeling more comfortable, feeling more educated, feeling like I have a part of my own health journey in my own hands.
There's a large role for us to better leverage real-world data and data science to help us understand medical unmet need. It's not like it's one thing. It's very heterogeneous across different providers and institutions and patient populations. One of the things that's been occurring are the trends around precision medicine, with a deeper understanding of disease, with the role of diagnostic tests that help pinpoint the appropriate treatment for an individual patient. All of that creates data that help us understand with much greater specificity which patients are going to benefit from which of our medicines.
Patients taking ownership of their health, of the therapies, understanding more the medications that they're taking, engaging with their doctors and how that's changing. These are really exciting, real impacts that have been powered by AI.